Hey, I want to welcome our viewers to the golf side of podcast. One of the best putters in the city is in the house, and so we're going to go down the golf path today. So, Rand, tell our viewers that maybe have not heard about your reputation and the kind of golfer you are and the excellent putter. Tell her who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Well, my name's Rand Eberhard, and I play golf at Pine Tree Country Club, where Pete and I met some years ago. And I am a pastor in the city of Atlanta, and I work in generally as a people helper in various areas: senior care, addiction recovery, and affecting people for faith, hope, and love wherever God puts me. So geographically, live in Kennesaw, play golf at Pine Tree, and work in Atlanta and Buckhead.
So I love it that those two have come together because we talk golf as the ultimate relationship building, getting to know people. It's a little different than other sports. So like if it's basketball, you're running up and down the court. If it's tennis, you're on the opposite ends of the net. But in golf, you're with the person for sometimes 5 hours plus some afterwards. So what when you joined Pine Tree, what was besides fine tuning and really understanding how golf went, what was your thought? Like I want to, do some recreation, or was it balance? Because you're in an area of the ministry which is real draining if you're not careful. So you got to have an outlet. Tell our golfers, why did you join Pine Tree?
Well, I moved into the neighborhood, and a friend of mine that I worked with at the time was also a pastor and an avid golfer throughout his lifetime, convinced me to join the golf club. And it wasn't even really on my radar. But I did, and I'm glad I did, because my wife and girls are tennis players and play out of Pine Tree, and we go to the pool, and we've just loved living in the neighborhood and benefiting from the amenities and the community there and what it offers. So the goal originally wasn't to even be part of it, but God bless us, and we're in there, and we've been members about 6.5 years.
Awesome. How, for people that haven't played Pine Tree, they maybe haven't heard of the speed of the greens and the uniqueness. How long did it take you to feel like you knew what you were doing putting the Pine Tree greens?
Uh, well, you know how that is out there, Pete. I mean, you think
Yeah.
you got it figured out, and then all of a sudden you don't at all. Generally, though, I count my putts every round, and I have 30 or between 32 and 27 putts around, and that's pretty good. I mean, that's
Yes.
that's pretty good putting. Um, and You never really learn the greens. It's like they say. I read a book, but written by the first white caddy at Augusta National. It's a famous book, and it's a very well written book. But he talked about how he learned from the African American caddies there, and how they had won a number of green jackets, because back in the day you were assigned a caddy at Augusta.
Hmm.
And the tour player didn't just bring their caddy around the world with them. In some cases they did, but at Augusta, you took one of their caddies, whether you wanted to or not. And the
Hmm.
guys were happy to do that because those caddies knew the greens better than any of the visitors ever would.
Right.
So in this book, this young guy who was the son of a doctor in Augusta, who was a member of Augusta National, this kid worked in the caddy program through the early 80s or late 80s and early 90s. I recommend the book highly. I wish I knew the name of it. But
Hmm.
he said in the book that he learned from these elders of green reading wizardry, if you will. Um, you don't read the greens at Augusta National, you memorize them. And
Hmm.
you and I kind of know instinctively right now, if you tell us any pin position on any hole at Pine Tree, what the break does from wherever you are on the green, we can give you a general understanding of where to hit it without even looking at it.
Right.
Because of the grain and because of the subtlety and the speed of pine tree greens, not only do you have to remember what they do, but you got to get down there and read the putt, because a 3 to 5 footer might not look like it has any break and it breaks 4 inches.
Mhm.
So it's not only memorizing them, but it's knowing how to regrain. It's knowing how to feel instinctively what it's going to do. And even then, you're going to miss a lot of putts. So I ain't got them figured out. That's just a long answer of what I do.
Well, let's just say I know we never figure them out, especially pine tree, but we get better. What you just described is really kind of getting a sense of areas, how it breaks in certain areas of the green. I remember Old 15. I'm playing in a match play, and I have to win the hole, I have a 2 footer above the hole. And I'm thinking, hey, 2 footer? Well, I 3 putted it and lost the hole.
Oh,
I mean, that's how quickly, if you're not focusing and concentrating, you think a 2 footer is a 2 footer, but not above the hole at Pine Tree. Because
right.
I'd rather have 12 feet uphill than
Yeah.
2 feet downhill because of the
Yeah.
speed of the greens. What did you like? I always I ask people, just for curiosity's sake, how long did it take you joined? I know the first time I joined, I had 8 3 putts. And I thought, this is going to be really tough if I'm 3 putting every other hole. How long did it take before you started like understanding and making putts? And it wasn't like you're right now talking the average number of putts that you have. How long did it take you? Because you were in the finals of the putting championship last year. So you got to go through a lot of match plays to get to that point. So if you get to that point, you're a putter. I mean, because plenty of people can knock you off. They've been there 35 years because
Right.
we all know those people that they just can putt them blindfolded. So my question is like, how long did it take you to feel like you had a decent understanding of the greens?
I would say um, my first couple of years, I never shot in the 80s out there. And this past year, 2023, I had 7 birdies in one round, which was just unthinkable. I was running putts in from everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm between a 4 and 7 handicap throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
If I played it at an easier course, I probably would be a 4 year round. I probably wouldn't be a scratch. I know that, but I started trending in a better direction, primarily because I enjoy practicing putting than any other part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So lag putting came, I guess, year 2. I really got a good feel for what the greens did, how they break, and leaving myself inside 3 feet from anywhere on the green. That's the goal, inside 4 to 3 feet. And I practice putting a lot. And I know all the breaks on the practice green. I know the speeds and know where to hit them. And the last 2 years in a row, I missed making the Final Four in the putting championship on the final putt of the final hole. Wow. So I got beat by Bobby Filkins on a final putt, then Robert Donegan on a final putt. Bobby won that year. Robert went on to win second or first. And then this year I made it through and beat Ty Hample in the semifinals to go to the championship match. And I think I'm moving in a good direction with putting, and I would love to be the champion one year. You saw the championship match, and I lost primarily because when you're putting in front of a large group of people and it's in your hands, and that green, as you know, was like rolling 15 that day. Unbelievable speed. So I ran 3 putts in a row by 5 feet. I didn't 3-putt one time against Ty in the semifinals the same day, an hour earlier. But when your hands are kind of, you can very easily lose your feel. And I was yipping the ball and running it by, and then you go 3 down right out the gate. it's hard to recover to that against a guy like Milo who camps out on those greens.
Yeah, I think he spends the night out there.
Oh,
I've never seen anybody.
if you see any, if you
It's
see any
like
wear
crazy.
marks out there,
And I knew that day because I watched both the semis and the finals. You had to play 36. He had to just play 18. He was out there practicing and practicing when you were in your match with Ty. And the match with Ty was an incredible one.
Yeah.
You made that last putt to beat. I mean, I've never seen anybody, because it slipped away at the end. I think you lost maybe 2 out of the last 3 or something to tie
I was
it.
way up. I was
Yeah.
up. I had it in the bag, and then
and I was going like, so you okay, 3 up, and then all of a sudden it's tied. I'm saying, ain't no way he can come back from that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking in my mind. And then you drain that long putt on the extra hole, and it was like, how does someone shift in their mind that they had it in their hand, they let it slip through. Now everything was, all the momentum was going to Ty, everything, because he had won 3 holes. He's thinking, he's probably in his mind going, I got him. He let me back in the game, and then you drain that long putt. It was like, holy mackerel.
I know. That was
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah, it was fun to watch it, because you kind of like myself, we love the strategy in it, and you kind of geek out on situations that you have to kind of put yourself in tougher situations to see how well you can perform. And putting is the absolute best at really playing the mind games, because I was out there Saturday, and so I met a bunch of people, Craig and Chris, and I think it was Ashley Lee and Steve, and we were sitting in there, and everybody was talking about how many double bogeys they had that day. Tell our viewers, like, how do you manage the double bogeys? Now we've talked about the putt, like, because you can make a double bogey out there one swing. So how do you do it when you're playing around, when you obviously had 7 birdies and you're going low and you got momentum? You're 1 hole from a disaster. What do you do mentally, and how do you prepare yourself to play Pine Tree without giving away so many shots?
Well, the tendency for all of us that are trying to maintain a good round or a good mindset is your self-talk shifts from the goal is to say, this is my strategy on this hole, and this is what I want to do and accomplish. Mm-hmm. And when you have clarity of purpose and you're able to execute and say, I want to hit this zone off the tee, I want to hit this particular club with this ball flight, that simplifies the hole. And then when we start getting stressed, like, no matter what, don't hit it left, and you start telling yourself what not to do, then subconsciously your body and your mind and your mechanics are rewired, trying to do something. You're trying to force something that should be natural, and it's no longer natural. And I think anxiety and the fear of failure and the stress of the situation kicks in, and then you do exactly what you don't want to do. And there's a biblical concept there where Paul talks about, I do the things that I don't want to do. You know, you can get off into the whole psychology of the spirit man and the mind, body, spirit, and what happens there. But I think the goal is just make it simple, keep it simple, come up with a game plan, execute on that plan, and put 1 hole in front of the other and see where it ends up.
What would you say? Yeah, I know, I agree with you. What would you say, because you play other courses around the city, when you tee it up at another course versus playing at Pine Tree on a regular basis, how do you like mentally shift to a different course? Because I think the the penalties at Pine Tree are more severe than what I've seen around town. So what do you do when you tee it up at another course? Are you like licking your chops thinking I don't have to like avoid the double bogeys, I can play more aggressive? How do you go through that process?
Well, although Pine Tree is hard, and what makes it hard is the greens, but also the OB, the white stakes right off the fairway on a lot of the holes make for a very difficult layout.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out of position, you don't really have a look at the green. A lot of courses around town, especially the ones in Cobb County and Ackworth and stuff, if you're not good off the tee, you still have a look at the green.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a major advantage. The other part is I'm fortunate and blessed enough to play all the top Atlanta courses, and I played them all a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, some of them that have like the championship caliber layout, like the Atlanta Athletic Club,
Mm-hmm.
the Highlands course, which is the championship course.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much sand and there's so much trouble for that penalizes a wayward tee shot, even if it's slightly off and it's not like awful. It's not some sweeping, slice or hook.
Mm-hmm.
If you're slightly off, you're shooting 91 out there as a 5 to 7 handicap.
Right.
So there are courses like that are designed with the championship caliber, the tournament quality player in mind. But then you see the Ford brothers at the East Lake Cup. They played out there at the Atlanta Athletic Club this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Ford brothers are members of the Atlanta Athletic Club, and they both play golf for University of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids played elite golf during the East Lake Cup, and David, one of them, ended up winning that tournament. Freezing cold, rain, difficult conditions, the stress of competing against top collegiate players in the country. The guy that ended up winning didn't have a bogey for 36 holes in unthinkable conditions on a very hard course.
Wow.
So it's just like he knew what he was doing. He knew what to hit where. So there is an advantage of being a local in a tournament like that. But playing around town, you're right. Compared to Pine Tree, most of the places you play are significantly easier.
Yeah. Do you like when you play outside of Atlanta? Give our viewers like a course that you like, because we play golf and we remember things. They're memorable holes, they're memorable courses. What would you say in your travels? What course would stand out in your mind that you've played outside of the city that you would share with our viewers?
Yeah, not that. I mean, there are a lot of them that are like courses that, like for instance, the most fun I've ever had on a golf course and resort style experience. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's close family friends of ours that I'm kind of like a pastoral support to their family, from their kids to the family through the years. They brought my wife and I to Cabo San Lucas, and we stayed at Chileno Bay Resort. And George Clooney owns that golf course. He's part owner. And this is like the 1% of the 1%ers. I mean, they literally had 3 to 10 workers, maintenance people on every single hole. And the views were unthinkable. It's the most unbelievable place I've ever been by far.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now the course that's more within reach for the majority of us everyday people is the Dothan, Alabama Robert Trent Jones course.
Yeah.
The RTJ courses and the trail. I'm going to go do that this summer. I think that's a very difficult. They've played Q School tournaments there. They've played various other tournaments there that matter for quality players. That in terms of the layout, If you play back as far as you want, it's as far as you want to play. And the greens are incredibly challenging with huge sloping breaks. And the layouts are high quality. And
Yeah, I have to agree with you on like the average golfer to play nice, the nicest course without dropping $1,000 is the Robert Trent Jones Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're in Montgomery, whether you're in near Auburn, everywhere you go, Huntsville, everywhere they have a course, there are those type of courses where you go, wow.
Yeah.
They keep them up. They're reasonably priced. I mean, you can play. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a hidden gem, unless you and I are talking. If somebody comes in, I've been trying to get my group that we do Florida, Amelia Island, different places, and I've been trying to steer them towards those Robert Trent courses. Yeah. You know, it's not like you fly into Atlanta and you can get there in 10 minutes. They're in Alabama and they're all through. They're a good drive, and you're flying into places that aren't the biggest airports. So as long as you're driving, there's not a better place that you can go to and get a great experience. No, I have to agree with you. So this has been fun to really talk golf. We haven't talked golf in a while, you know?
Yeah, we've covered some other stuff.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, it's really a real pleasure to chat golf. So what would you, as we wind down, how can people get a hold of you? Just so we always want people to be able to contact you if they feel a need, not only to get some putting tips, maybe to get other things in the life journey.
Yeah. The best way to get in touch with me is through email at randeberhard@gmail.com, or you can Google my name and find me online.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Now, you know, I don't have to tell you this, but we always want you to give your one insight that people can take home from this golf podcast. So what would you want our viewers to take home today?
Well, normally I would give a long teaching on this, but I'll just share it very briefly. And we might have talked about this in a prior discussion, but the sports psychology out of a book that Chris Everett wrote a number of years ago, the women's tennis champion. I read that book myself. And when I began studying this material, it accelerated my skill level. And specifically what she covers is, with the help of a sports psychologist, is this concept of the 3 C's. It's concentration, confidence, composure. And if you have those 3 things, you're going to present your best opportunity of stepping into your potential on the golf course.
Man, that is like what I call a golf gem right there.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, geez, I don't even read the book, and I get that quote from it, and our viewers
take it.
We'll put it. I tell you what, we're going to put those 3 in the show notes.
Perfect.
I think it's beautiful because you know how important what between the ears is in golf. Yeah. And so if you can grasp that concept, I think you'll be a better golfer.
Yep.
Thank you, Rand, for being with us, and appreciate you diving into golf, because we don't usually have this much fun. I mean, we have fun, but when we get golf, it's like there's a certain amount of excitement that you get when you talk about golf.
No doubt about
Thank you, Rand. Appreciate you taking the time.
Enjoy it.
Be on the golf portion of the podcast.